गुरु रूप गुरु प्यारे साध संगत जी, वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु ji ki fateh. So Maharaj has blessed us with the opportunity to do Sangat. Today actually happens to be the last day of the Desi year. ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੱਲ ਦਾ ਦਿਨ ਆ ਦੇਸੀ ਕੈਲੰਡਰ ਮੁਤਾਬਕ ਚੇਤ ਦਾ ਮਹੀਨਾ ਆਰੰਭ ਹੋਣਾ ਆ, which is actually the new year according to Gurmat. So this is basically our New Year's Eve today. So Maharaj has blessed us with this opportunity to do Sangat. We have just finished Sasgra Simran, trying to focus in on the Guru Mantra. And we are chanting Vaheguruji's name, the Guru Mantra, with our swas, with the air that we breathe. Sasgra Simran, Sasa Simran, there are different techniques that are blessed to us through Gurbani, by which we bring our mind to a standstill. So our thoughts are either Satoguni, Rajoguni, or Tamoguni. We're basically within Maya all the time. Maharaj फरमाਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚ, Maharaj says, Rajgun, Tamgun, Satgun ਕਹੀ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਤੇਰੀ ਸਭ ਮਾਇਆ. That all these thoughts, whether it's Rajogun, Tamogun, or Satagun, these are thoughts all within Maya. Our home is above Maya, above the Trigun, above these three modes of Maya, which is known as Sun. Sun is where we become thoughtless, where our ego no longer exists, where we rise above our body. Maharaj Gurbani ਚ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਤੇ ਪਾਏ ਵਿਚਾਰਾ ਸੁਨ ਸਮਾਧ ਸੱਚੇ ਕਰ ਬਾਰਾ. That Sun is our true home, where we are all to go to be in peace. Also known as Nijkar in Gurbani, Sahjkar, Nijkar Mahal, Nij Mahal, Thirkar. These are different names given to that home. Maharaj tells us, Satgur te pae vichara sun samad sache kar bara, Nanak nirmal naad sab tun sach rame naam samainda. That in that true home of ours, in that Nijmal, that Thirkar, Sun, we will hear Ram, the Naam, the divine word. That word, Shabd, is not in our languages. It's not in English or Punjabi. It's not in Hindi or Sanskrit. It's not in French. It's not in any of our languages. It's a celestial sound produced by the Divine Lord Himself, by which Vaheguruji created this entire universe and many other universes. All of creation. So we are trying to have our mind sit in its true home, that Sun, also known as the void in English. And by sitting there, we want our mind to attach to that Naam, that divine word inside, so that it can absorb itself in that word and reach the source of that word, the divine word, which is Vaheguruji Himself. So we enter our Sacha Mahal, where there is only Prakash, only light. So that is why we are doing Avyas, to get into that Thirkar, also known as the Dasam Dwar, which is inside us, the 10th gate. So as tomorrow is going to be the new year, which is the Mahina of Chet, which just to explain, there's 12 months, which are Chet, Vaisakh, Jet, Had, Savan, Padon, Asu, Katak, Maggar, Po, Mag, and Fagan. These are the 12 months of the Desi calendar, Desi Mahine. And Baramahamanj, which is recited every month, every time there's a new month, we recite Baramahamanj or recite the Shabd for that month. The first month of the Desi calendar is indicated to us by Guru Sahib as being Chet da Mahina. So, along with Chet comes the first season of the year, spring, which is known as Basant in Gurbani. Now, here in North America, and probably Europe as well, we basically talk about 4 seasons, which is spring, summer, fall, also known as autumn, and winter. So after winter, we go back to spring. In India, there are 6 seasons, and all 6 are divided. So Basant is spring, and that consists of the months of Chet and Vasak. Then after that is Grikham, which consists of the months of Jetha and Had. Then Baras, where there's a lot of rain and monsoon. Savan and Bhaddo are the Mahine, the months that are in that Baras season. Then Sarad, which consists of Asu and Katak. Then Sisir, which is the colder months, which consists of Maggar and Po. And then there's Himkararot, which consists of Mag and Fagan, which is the month and season that are coming to an end, as Chet is coming tomorrow. So when in Edmonton, what we do is when we actually come to this new year, this Desi New Year, we start talking about spring. Spring is a new beginning. Spring is where everything's renewed. So our new year comes in line with what's happening in the world. How the trees that don't have any leaves, they're going to start to sprout in spring. Flowers are going to start to bloom and blossom. So everything has a fresh start. And in Gurbani, Maharaj talks about Basant, spring, how spring blossoms forth. Maharaj says, Pehel Basanta Agman, Pehla Mauleo Soe, Jit Maulea, Sab Maulea, Tisena Mauleo Koe. So Maharaj tells us that just as spring brings forth the first blossoms, the flowers and everything haraya paraya ho janda hai, like everything, all this greenery comes, the first blossoms come forth. The Lord himself is from before that. The Lord himself is the first one to have blossomed. Maharaj is using that word blossoms here, moleo, just to refer to the Lord as the Lord is Ajuni Sebang. They are free of all species. They don't come into the Junes. They are formless. They are self-existent. So, Sabto Pehla, the one that exists, is the Lord. The Lord is the first one to always exist. Jit mole hai, sab moli hai, tisena mole koe. And Maharaj says, by his blossoming, everything blossoms. No one else causes him to blossom forth. So all of creation comes from the Lord. The Lord, Vaheguru, is self-existent. They come from themselves. So this is, sometimes it becomes hard to understand, but when a mind starts to do practical and starts to realize what Gurbani says, then you realize that there is no one else except the Lord. We will get into that further on today. And then Maharaj says, Pehl basante agman, tiska karo bichar. So the one that's blossomed earlier than the spring itself, reflect upon him. talk about him. Nanak so salaiye, je sabse de adar. So praise the one that gives support to all. And that is the Lord, Waheguru Ji. So Maharaj reminds us in spring, this is our fresh start. This is where our mind is entering a new year. You can read Gurbani, and in Bara Mahamanj every month Maharaj reminds us to remember the Lord. And with this coming of spring, Maharaj reminds us during these seasons as well that every season we should be remembering the Lord. Then you'll read in Gurbani, Maharaj will talk about the days all the way from Sunday to Saturday. All 7 days Maharaj will remind us daily. And then they'll remind us that with every breath that you take, remember the Lord. Gagga Gobind Gunaravo Sas Sas Japanit Kahab Sasa Deka Bilamana Karyomit. That you can't trust this body. When this body of ours, this physical body, is to perish, we are going to have to leave this physical body. That's why we should remember the Lord with every single breath. So whatever period of time we are looking at within Maya, whether it's months, whether it's days, Maharaj is telling us to remember the Lord. And then they bring it down to the point of every single breath. Each breath that we have is blessed to us by Waheguru himself. And Maharaj tells us, Ham admi ha ekdami, mohat mot na jana, nanak binve tise sirevo jaake ji prana. That our life stands on one breath. If we have that air, that breath that we are breathing, that swas, that's why we are alive. If Waheguru Ji doesn't bless us that swas, we can't stay within this body. Hum admi ha ek dami mohalat mot na jana, nanak binve tise sirevo jaake ji prana. We should be worshipping, we should be serving, and we should be remembering the Lord that gives us every single breath that we are using. Now, Maharaj starts off in Gurbani by telling us about how we came here from the one divine, the Lord, known as such, truth. So Maharaj starts us off from Ik Onkar in Gurbani, that from one, all of creation came. That Ik means one in Gurmukhi. That one is the Divine Lord, Nirguna Swarupa Paramatma, who is above all qualities of Maya. And from that one came about Akar. Akar is the creation of Maya, the form that we see. So from the formless came the actual form that we see, the form that we are actually in as well. So the formless one, Nirankar, is known as Nirguna as well, so free of all qualities, all attributes of Maya, simply known as the truth, such. Maharaj, when they spell Ik Onkar, if you look carefully, that first is Ik, and that Uda has a 3 shape in it. And that represents Om, which stands for Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Mahesh, also known as Shiv. From Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh are created Rajogun, Satogun, and Tamogun. They're groups of qualities. Rajogun is more neutral, which has to do with the qualities or the thoughts that we have in regards to sustaining our bodies here, getting sustenance for our bodies. Satagun is positive thoughts and feelings. Daya, Nimrita, Shanshilta, Jat, Satsanto, compassion, humility, humbleness, truth, contentment. And Tamogun is negative qualities, like lust, anger, greed, worldly attachment, and ego. Now, when Waheguru Ji spoke air, water, and fire were created. Consists of 3 syllables. And those 3 syllables represent Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. Also, Brahma is the power of creation. Vishnu would be the power of sustenance, and Mahesh would be the power of destruction. They have those roles. The 3 are in our bodies in the form of qualities as the Trigun, Rajo, Sato, and Tamo, but as those powers as well. They come from the formless one, Nirankar, Nirgun Sarup Paramatma, who is free of Maya. While these 3 are part of the Maya, Nirgun, Nirankar creates the Maya, what we see, visible Maya, and that Sukham Maya, invisible, that's in our minds, our thoughts, which consist of that Rajogun, Satogun, and Tamogun. Now, Nirankar exists within the Maya as well, but is detached from it. That's why Maharaj says, Balehari Kudrat Vasya, that you exist within your nature, within the nature that you've created, all this creation. But at the same time, Maharaj is separate from it. Maharaj says, Apine aap sajyo, that you are self-existent. Apine aap sajyo, apine rachyo now, that you spoke the word. You created the word. Apine aap sajyo, apine rachyo na, dui kudrat sajiye kar asana ditho chao. In the second place, you created all this Maya. So those Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, they are part of Maya. Nirankar is within Maya, but separate from it as well. Then you'll notice that on Ek Onkar, the mouth of the Uda is actually open. It's left open to show that our home is above those Trigun, above Maya, above that Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Our home is actually infinite. Our home has no limits. So it's also known as Anahad Alaka. And all of creation exists under the umbrella, the Shatrashaya of the Divine Lord, Nirankar, the Formless One. So that part of the Uda, which is open, is expressing the infinity of the Divine and the Divine's home. Then Maharaj tells us that Word, the Divine Word, is known as Satanam. Creation happens through the Word. And that Word is also known as Shabd in Gurbani. Gurbani is the teachings of the spiritual masters. And Shabd is known as Nam. And it's known as Nam because it's the insignia of the Formless One. The Formless One, known as the Truth, Sach, spoke that word. That word, because it comes from Sach, is known as Satnam. The Divine Word, once again, is not in any of our languages, as it is celestial sound. It's also known as Anahad Shabd. ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਿਸ ਰੂਪ ਨਾ ਰੇਖ ਅਨਾਹਦ ਵਾਜੈ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਨਿਰੰਜਨ ਕੀਆ. Anahad actually means limitless. Had means limit, and Anahad means no limit. Just as the Formless One, Divine Lord, has no limits, neither does the word that they speak. And notice that we've written here that they speak, because that word is still being spoken by Vaheguruji. It wasn't just spoken in the beginning and it comes to an end. That word is still being spoken. When Vaheguruji stops speaking that word, all of this creation disappears. That's why Maharaj tells us in Gurbani, Utpat parlo sabde hove, sabde he fir opat hove. That through the Shabd, through the word, creation happens and destruction. And then when Vaheguruji wants to recreate all this Maya, they do it through the Shabd again. Maharaj is known as Karta Purkh. They are the formless one. They are the creator, Katha. And they're referred to as Purkh, the supreme soul, Paramatma, and they are the Lord of all. Then Maharaj tells us that the Lord is fearless. They're nirpal. They don't have any fear of anyone. They are the highest of all. They are the strongest of all. And the Lord is without hatred. So they're known as Nirvair. They don't have any enmity towards anyone. The Lord, Vaheguru Ji, Nirankar, Nirgun Sarup Paramatma, the formless Lord, is free of Kal. Kal is also known as time, is also known as death. Kal is that power that Vaheguru Ji has created to make this mind of ours play within Maya. Jinu Maharaj kende hai, Kautak Kal e hukum pathaya. That Kal is going to do different Kautak or plays within Maya to just have our mind be stuck within this Maya. The Lord himself is free of Kal, is timeless, and the Lord is immortal. Then Vaheguru Ji is known as Ajuni Sebang. The formless Lord is not counted in any of the Juns. They don't come into Juns. They are not a species. They are not born. They are self-existent. Sebang means to come from themselves. They are self-existent or self-created is sometimes a translation that is used. But basically, they are the only one there is. They are above all these species that we see. They are formless. Guru Prasad. By the Guru's grace, blessing, kirpa, one can actually realize the formless Lord. The Guru attaches us to Nirankar, the formless one, from where we all came from. Now, the Shabd, the divine word, is also known as Guru. Naam is also known as Guru. Guru Nanak Dev Ji ne dasya ke Sabd Guru Surat Tun Chela. Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji said that their Guru is the Shabd and their Surati is the student of that Guru. So Naam is also known as Shabd Guru. Guru attaches us to Nirankar. Now, along with the definition of prasad as being kirpa, blessing, we also sometimes refer prasad as being what we consume as a blessing given to us at Gurdwara when we get Kada Prasadi Deg. In that sense, the prasad that we receive from the formless one, Nirankar, is the nectar, Amrit, of Nam, known as Nam Ras, Amrit Ras, Har Ras, Brahm Ras in Gurbani. Once we follow the path that's been laid out by the spiritual masters, our gurus, we connect with that Shabd Guru, Nam, through which we receive Amrit, nectar, from the Divine Lord, and then we meet the Divine Lord. We meet Vaheguru Ji. Then Maharaj tells us to chant jap, to chant the name of the Lord. Guru Sahib grants us the Guru Mantra that we use to meet the Lord, which is Vaheguru Guru Mantra. We jap that Guru Mantra in the form of Saskara Simran, Sas Sas Simran, Rom Rom Simran, and that helps take our mind to our home, where then we just have to attach to the divine word, which is Nam inside. Maharaj tells us that the formless one is true before time started. That's why they say Ad Sach. And after time started, throughout all time periods, the formless one is true. So Maharaj says Jugad Sach. Then Maharaj says that the formless one is true here, now, in the present as well. Happy such. And then Maharaj says that forever the formless one is true. O Nanak, always forever true. Nanak hosi bhi such. So Maharaj basically takes us from the point of Nirgun Sarup Paramatma and tells us how we all came from that one. That one has manifested himself in many different forms. And we ourselves, if we think about it, are actually forms of such as well. In reality, in the beginning, there's only one. And that one has manifested into different forms. But who's the one that's taken up the manifestation? It's Waheguru himself. And if Waheguruji himself has taken up all this manifestation, if we realize that, then our own form is a form that they've taken up. That leaves the question of then, who are we? That's why when we do meditation and we get rid of our ego, we realize that in reality there is only Waheguruji. Jisnu Maharaj ਫਰਮਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚ, the Guru Sahib says, Nanak Gurmukh aap pashane prabh jaise avinasi. That if you recognize yourself, there is no difference between you and Waheguruji. All there is Waheguruji. That is what self-realization is. So that might be a topic that is actually something that we've never thought about. It could be that we've never thought of it to this depth. Waheguruji, Nirguna Sup Paramatma, is the one that's taken up this entire form. Maharaj says, Khel khel akhel khelan ant ko phirek. That once Waheguruji is done with this play, once again there is only one. That Nirguna Sarup, formless Waheguruji, the formless Lord. So, before we go, as our mind is probably trying to contemplate or just meditate upon that information as well, there is something we can do, little meditation, a bit more just in antargat terms. So as you sit there, just, or if you're lying down, whatever position you are in, you can meditate by relaxing your body, putting your focus just to your breath, and letting your breath flow naturally. As you breathe in, say Wahe with your surti. And as you breathe out, say Guru with your surti. Let's just try that for a few moments before we do samapti here. Let your air that you're breathing flow naturally, and gently attach the Guru Mantra to the breath with your mind. This is just going to be antargat, so you don't have to speak. Let your breath flow naturally. Relax your body. As you do that, you may find that your breath stops and then you exhale. When you actually say Wahe, try to bring your focus all the way down to your navel point. And then when you exhale and say Guru with your mind, bring it back up to your mouth. Don't force the exhale. Just let the exhale of the breath go naturally. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So that was just a little meditation exercise that you can try anytime. When you do that, if you breathe through your mouth, it makes it easier. So our mind becomes more thoughtless that way. When we breathe through our nose, sometimes because the right and left passage breathing isn't balanced between both passages, our mind, if it goes to the right with the air, it'll start to become tamoguni. If you're breathing more on the left side and the mind goes with the air to the left, it becomes more rajoguni. On the right, tamoguni, on the left, rajoguni. And then when they're perfectly in balance, that's when the mind becomes satoguni. But when you're breathing like that, antargat, if you want to bypass that, just breathe through your mouth. And that helps you become thoughtless faster. So, if speaking I've made any mistakes, please do forgive me. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.